All right, so I'd like to talk about the three sort of takeaways that I gained from reading the book Networking for People Who Hate Networking, subtitled A Field Guide for Introverts, the Overwhelmed, and the Underconnected. So I'm not entirely sure I would consider myself underconnected, but I could somehow relate to the feeling of being overwhelmed when it comes to networking. And I would definitely sort of consider myself a partial introvert. So in some sense, this is actually a perfect book for me. Like, thinking of the term networking, I mean, it doesn't really resonate with my persona, I guess. Like, when I think of networking, it sort of feels too much as strategy and less as the sort of warm and fuzzy feeling you get when you have an sort of connection with someone, when you're having a discussion, when you're in a conversation, right? Like that sort of feeling of mutual understanding. Okay, that sort of doesn't really connect to me when I think about networking. But I think this book sort of helped to change this image. So, getting to the points, like the first point I would like to make is that this book sort of changed my understanding of networking, saying that it's okay to network. Okay, from two aspects. Like, it's okay to network. It's okay to have a strategy of what you want when you're entering a meeting. And secondly, that even if you would consider yourself to be an introvert personality kind, or to sort of be a partial introvert, even though you would be totally capable of networking. Okay, networking is a skill just as anything else. So you can train your skills in networking. And in fact, when you're an introvert, you have some skills that extroverts don't have, or that extroverts would have to work on to sort of reach the same skill level as the introvert. So the first point is that this book makes you realize that you have a skill set, no matter who you are, right, or what your sort of mindset is. You have a skill set, and you can use this skill set for networking. So the second point, these are more concrete, okay. The second point is that it makes me realize that it's okay to say no, okay? So the author raises an interesting formula which says that fewer people plus less time equals better contacts, which obviously sounds completely counterintuitive, right? Like, to meet fewer people and to spend less time with these people would gain you better contacts, right? Like, it sounds counterintuitive because the sensible thing would be to meet as many people as possible for as much time as possible. But when you think about it, it makes sense, and especially for introverts. I'll get back to this, but when you think about it, it makes sense because it's about quality and not quantity, right? If you're just sort of bulldozering on, you won't have sort of quality conversations. But if you really spend quality time with a few people, you might actually find some areas where you might have mutual interests. You might actually find areas that would be mutually beneficial for the both of you in the future, right? In business or as in personal life. So that's sort of the second key point, which leads me into the third key point, which is that the book made me realize that it's okay to pace. It's okay, again, it's okay to say no. It's okay to When you're saying, okay, when you're saying no, you're taking the executive decision to say, I will not participate in this event, or I will leave after this amount of time, right? Or if you're in that position, I will leave now because I've participated. But everything has this sort of counter side to it. So when you say no to something, it's because you said yes previously to something else, okay? Or will say yes to something. So there's a balance. And here I think the author sort of weaves this nicely, in that introverts can easily get overwhelmed by all of this sort of social gaming and all of this social contact. I mean social gaming as in the game that we play socially, right? Like, at some point you have to return to yourself and your mind and sort of just contemplate all of the stuff that you're bringing into your mind. So this is why you need to pace. So instead of just going, oh yes, okay, I will participate here and I will participate here and I will stay for all of these hours and etc. You're just sort of draining your own energy and draining your head and sort of not leaving any energy left for you to actually make meaningful connections. So to make meaningful connections, you have to pace. Okay, it's okay to say no. It's okay to stay half the event because you make a really good first half and then you leave. Okay? So this for me, this for sure kills a lot of feelings of guilt, where I would feel guilty for not participating, right? But now I think of it as strategy. So I'm not participating at occasion A because I am fully and wholeheartedly committing myself and participating in event B or at occasion B. So that's to me, that's really splendid. Right? That's a shift of mind. Anyway, these are just some of the nuggets. I think actually it's a really interesting book. So again, it's called Networking for People Who Hate Networking, and it's written by Devorah Zak.